Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Akim. And this is your brother Bawan, back again with another video through the spirits and power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash. All praises and glory is due, especially in the times that we're in. And the title of this video will be most Israelites are caught up in their emotions. That's basically what the Apostle Tahar said, and I'll play the part where he said that, right? But before I do that, I want to play, this statement right here. So what he is responding to is a video of Jake calling the Captain Tazariak of the ISUPK and asking about the MOTB, which of course we say and we believe that it is the implantable RFID microchip, right? Either the ones that can be implanted in your hand or in your forehead, right? Right hand, left hand. That's just splitting hairs. That's basically what all these other camps that say that the MOTB is not the implantable RFID microchip do. Oh, well, it says in your right hand, but it also says in your hand as well in the book of, I believe that's either Revelation 14 or 16. We'll go to that, right? Which says you have to put it in your right hand or in your forehead, but really forehead just means metapon, which is the above the eyes, right? That's basically what your metapon is if you go into the Greek translation for forehead, okay? And that's basically how the breakdown goes, right? But in order for these other camps to push the idea that, oh, well, the MOTB isn't actually the implantable RFID microchip. Now, the MOTB is sin. It's sleeping with white women, right? That's what the ISUPK says. And that's what Captain Katazariak believes, by the way. But let's play this video. Let's play this part first.
Words. He said, I don't know. Basically, he said, those are the Israelites that come out of great tribulation.
Hold on, let me slow it down. I was trying to find the clip I was looking for, so I was speeding it up. But let's play it at normal speed.
You do not believe that there's going to be a beast that comes out of the water that has 7 heads and 10 horns, right?
Because Apostle Tahar already made a.
Well, Apostle Tahar also said you could rape 12-year-olds.
Oh, there goes that go-to. And
that's it's not just a can, and that is what you call in the business a straw man. Okay, what does the rape doctrine have to do with the RFID implantable, the MOTB doctrine, right? That's a straw man. Well, Apostle Tahar says you can rape little girls, that, and then trying to deflect, right? A straw man and a deflection as well, because he can't actually give you a breakdown concerning how the implantable RF, you see, it's interchangeable, man. But anyway, how the mark of the beast is whatever the ISUPK says it is, right? And it's funny how he says, the Apostle Tahar says, no, the scriptures say, okay, because we can easily go to Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, and see exactly what constitutes grape, okay, in the scriptures. You don't need to look or for a deep breakdown from the apostles. It's not like the apostles are going into a deep breakdown. Oh, we have to we have to go into a deep prayer and break. You have to go to the deep prayer, and the Spirit jumped on me and brought out this breakdown. Now, this isn't a deep breakdown. Okay, this is just something that you can go directly into the scriptures and read for yourself, right? But the problem is that you have a lot of jigs in this truth, and that's why the video is entitled the way that it is, okay? And that's why the Apostle Tahar ultimately said what he said, that a lot of you Israelites are caught up in your emotions because our people are offended by the word of the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai that they are reading in the scriptures. Let me see if I can get that precept, right? And let's see, I think it's offended. So let's see, that should be New Testament. So let me look for it. Let me see. I'm trying to look for. It. There's a certain precept. Oh, let me just go. Let me just get the one. Let me just get the first one I wanted to bring out. Here it is. Here it is. So this is the book of Matthew 11, yeah, and verse 6. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. Can't. Let me bring another precept. As Allah Yahweh said, behold, I come in the volume of the book. Let's get that. Let's get that. So let me use this one. Let me use the book of Hebrews because it's a precept that is brought out in both the book of Hebrews and in the book of Psalms. So in the book of Hebrews, the Apostle Paul is quoting the book of Psalms. So this is the book of Hebrews 10, verse 7. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O power. Right. So that is basically going into Aloja Hawashai, okay? And part of the volume of that book, let's go to that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, okay? So let's go into that. That should be somewhere around here. Let me see. Let's go up a little bit. I'm not going to read too much of this. Let's go up a little bit. Let's see. Here it is. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 22, verse 20. And I'll start from 23. If a damsel that is a virgin, okay, let's get this word in the Hebrew blue letter as well, because it's another thing that you have some of these Christians that are saying, oh well, ayalama, right, which is basically the word that is used for virgin when it's referring to Mary, which is the mother of the Lord. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's just a young woman. That means that it's actually a woman that hasn't had any intercourse, right? Which of course doesn't make any sense, because how can you give birth to a child? How can you say, even the scriptures tell you that oh, behold, this child is born, and in him, right, or with him. So yeah, let me just go and get that precept. Let me just go and get that precept. I don't want to go and butcher it. I think that's Isaiah the 9th chapter, right? Unto us a child is born. So this is the book of Isaiah 9, verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Okay, and how can you have a child born, but without intercourse, right? Without the child, without the mother conceiving, right, receiving seed and birthing a son, and unfortunately, so you actually have to bear with me. My network is pretty bad out here, so can't really go into the blue letter, and there you have it. Network is pretty is all right. So I just have to leave it at that. I can't really go into that right now. So we just go back to this, okay, which is basically this is the preset that we use to refer to quote unquote the grave doctrine, right? So let's keep going into it. Yeah. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 22, verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel, which is basically adultery. Okay, so this is the doctrine against adultery. So far, right, it should go without saying that this is 100% lawful, right? Because adultery is against the scriptures. So let's keep going into it. Deuteronomy 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gates of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. Once again, another case of adultery. So if you have two individuals, right, a woman that is betrothed unto a man, so in other words, a woman that is either engaged or so, right, to a man, and she just goes and have sex with some random guy, right? That is also adultery, because, as the scriptures say, he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, right? So both the man and the woman would be put to death. Okay, so let's keep going into it. Deuteronomy 22, verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, well, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter can. So basically, according to the scriptures, the only actual time that you can actually have a case of rape, okay, is when the woman is already betrothed or married to a husband, and the man finds her, right, and lives with her, right, outside of the city, basically in a place where nobody can hear you scream, okay. And that is the only situation where you can have that's the only situation where it can even be a grape, right? Now you can read this part and read all of this, and this is basically the grape doctrine right here. So when the apostle says, so when the apostle Tahar says that, yeah, you can actually grape women, right? That's technically it doesn't constitute her as grape, because for one, she's not married. Okay, she is a unbetrothed woman, right? So that is because basically she's single, so it doesn't really constitute as grape. And let's go into that, right? So let's go into that. Now, Deuteronomy 22, verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days. Can So that's what the apostle. So in the video, if you watch the video, in the video, if you watch the video, the apostle Tahar said, well, you can rape a woman, right, as long as she's not married, which is correct, correct, in technical terms, right? But you have to give the father 50 shekels, and also stay with that woman, be married to that woman for the rest of your life without being able to divorce her. So technically, it's not a grape. It's a whole, it's not a grape, right? But according to the laws of this kingdom, it is. So obviously, we are not saying that, oh, you can actually go and do this. You can actually go and just go grape a woman as long as she's not married, and be like, oh, she's single. She's married now. Let me go and get 50 shekels from the father, and things like that. Okay, that's not going to work in this kingdom. Okay. This is, of course, speaking about the laws that exist in the kingdom, okay, which is basically saying, this is, of course, speaking of the laws that are going to come, okay, so not the laws that we currently have right now under Esau Edom, but the laws that will come, okay, during the kingdom. So this isn't Great Millstone or the Apostle Tahar telling you that, oh, you can go and grape a woman or anything like that, all right, because you know how Jake is. That's not the case. But the case is that you have a lot of our people that are offended at what the scriptures say. They are offended at doctrine, okay? And really, in this case, with the Cesariak, he's just on his soapbox right now. He's virtue signaling right now. He doesn't have a response, an actual response for the MOTB. So, well, Tahar is a rapist. Tahar is a rapist. Tahar says you can go on. Tahar says you can go on. That's basically all he can do right there. Okay. But yeah, man, it still is the case that a lot of our people are offended by what they hear in the scriptures. Because let's see, if we ask Captain Cesariak now, okay, break down that precept. Deuteronomy 22, from the 22nd verse on down, break it down. What does that mean? Clearly, how does the ISUPK, most of them looking for, right? Break down that precept. How do you um, explain what is written there? Because clearly what it said, right? There's no deeper breakdown. There's no allegory. There's no proverb. There's no what you don't understand is that if you go into the Greek, that word that is there is grab, okay, and the word is basically grab, take hold, right? You don't get it. That you have to go into the deeper breakdown, and that's not the case in this precept right here. It's plain as day, okay. But let me go forward a little bit. Let me go forward a little bit. Let's see. that should be around the 25th minutes, where the Apostle Tahar said, that these dudes are just offended. Well, these dudes are just soft, right? They are getting emotional over what they read in the scriptures.
It's a ticket, brother. You're not one of the elect. This is the time of apostasy, man.
Let me go up.
Any man that says if in their community a brother raped someone's daughter in that community, you would let it happen according to the scriptures, is not a fucking apostle. It's not an apostle.
And the Apostle Tahar never said that. That's what I'm talking about, man. He's out here trying to, what I'm looking for right now, deflect, right? Because he got pressed about the MOTB, and he couldn't come out and say, oh, well, the MOTB is sleeping with white women, it's the image of Cesare Borgia, it's sin. He couldn't come out and say all that. So he said, well, the Apostle Tahar, right? Because it's the Apostle Tahar that's the Apostle Tahar, the other apostles, the elders, and the brothers of the great millstone were the ones that push for the RFID implantable microchip being the MOTB the most, right? So he couldn't come out and say, well, so all he could do was just try to basically, what I'm looking for, defame, try to deflect, right, and say, oh, well, the Apostle Tahar also pushes the grape doctrine. Do you agree with that? That's what the scriptures say, man. And it's not like the apostles are just saying, oh man, if you go and grape a woman, you're righteous or anything like that. Oh no, man. Even the apostle has said it, right? Esau puts you under the jail, right? And you're out of the camp if you do that. Jake has to find a way to deflect and basically push whatever weird ass doctrine he's got going on. Let's keep playing.
Apostle. And that represents the problem we have in Israel. This ain't about you now, but that represents the problem we have in Israel. Y'all will let a nigga.
See what I'm saying? He's on his soapbox right now. He's virtue signaling right now. He's trying to. Let me just do this real quick, so you can know what I'm talking about when I say virtue signaling. That's what he's doing right now. He's on his soapbox right now. He's trying to, oh well, you Jakes out here, you're letting these people out here say all these kind of weird ass things that you get the ministry blamed and so on, that kind of thing. Man, look. Okay, we are the Hebrew Israelites. We have completely different standards on laws, and we have completely different laws than whatever Esau pushes, right? You go to this devil, and this devil will tell you that, oh well, if you deal with a underage woman, right? If you deal with a underage woman, basically, if you deal with a woman under 18, that you are going off, or you are a rapist, right? For Epstein Island. But those people that are making the laws, how many of them? It is already a well-known fact that a good number of them were on that island dealing with exactly what they said was wrong on the underage girls, right? Why is it that there is such a large cabal of these PDF files, basically? Because that's what they'll say. These demons out here in all these different higher positions in office, right? We've already said this before, and I've already said this before, that Esau Edom does not even keep his own laws, okay? And the laws that he pushes are, of course, unrighteous, and he does not even keep the laws that he pushes justly. That's why the scriptures say that judgment is slack in this kingdom. Righteousness doth never go forth. Habakkuk 1 verse 4. Therefore the law is slack and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked does compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. And let me explain something. I'm not saying that just to say, oh well, just because Esau doesn't keep the law, that means that we shouldn't keep it either. No, it's clear hypocrisy, and it's a clear lack of understanding in a lot of you Jake's part when you don't realize that this devil is a hypocrite. Okay, that's the reason why he'll come out and say, oh well, this is wrong, or you shouldn't be doing this. Meanwhile, he is the devil because he is doing far worse. Okay, but yeah, according to the scriptures and according to the law, right, there is the apostle Tahar said what he said, and the scriptures back up what he said. Okay, I'm calling the grape doctrine because these other camps out here are ridiculous.
But that represents,
and this also shows you that these camps can't read the scriptures objectively, right? The brother Yawan from I've forgotten the camp. I've forgotten it's in South Carolina as well. I think it's really I've forgotten the actual camp. He always says, right, you got to empty your cup. Basically, you have to Yeah, you have to empty your cup. You have to take away the understanding that you have in this world and be renewed with the understanding that exists in the scriptures. That's why our Lord Yahushua said you have to be born again. Because basically you're offended because, oh, well, you can't deal with little children like that. You can't, this is grape, this is grape. It's not grape though. That's the thing. They call it the grape doctrine, but, yeah, of course it is because it clearly shows you in the scriptures what constitutes grape and what doesn't. Let's play.
It's the problem we have in Israel. Y'all will let a nigga that says you can rape a 12-year-old girl, you can forcibly take and sleep with underage girls, but then
12-year-old's not underage. She's a woman.
Can exactly, right? And once again, this is how you know that let me that's what I want to say. But this is how you know that this is ridiculous because there is no doctrine in the Great Millstone that says, oh, you can go and rape 12-year-old girls, and none of that. Well, at least not on this. At least that's not even on this side. What am I saying? Because like I said, this does not constitute grape, but there is no doctrine that that we push in the Great Millstone that says you can go and have sex with 12-year-old girls. Like I said, man, Esau will put you under the jail. Okay, that's why the scriptures say, right? Not everything is not all things are righteous, right? But not all things are expedient. Let's get that. Let's get that. Let's get that. Expedient, expedient, expedient. Yeah. So yeah, it is. So this is the book of 1 Corinthians 6 verse 12. All things are lawful unto me. Now, does that mean that everything is lawful? Well, if everything is lawful, that means that I can go and eat pork. I can go and no, that's not what that means, right? But all things that we do in this truth are lawful. In other words, because we follow the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So the things that we're talking about, including the grape doctrine, okay, are lawful. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 12. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Right, so yeah, right. So even though it is lawful, right, to deal with a quote unquote underage girl in this kingdom, right, a 12-year-old girl, if she's in, as the scriptures say, the flower of her, I forgot how that goes. I think it's the flower of her virginity or something like that, right? Let me just make sure that I got that right. Let me just make sure I got that right, and I don't think that is it. Or is it flower of her youth? I've forgotten the exact precept, but if I made right, let's get that. Let's get that. I've forgotten the exact precept. I have to let me see if I made being the flower or something like that. You know what? Let me just try and look for it. I think that should be the book of 1 Corinthians. Let me just do that instead. Okay, 1 Corinthians 7. So this is the book of 1 Corinthians 7 verse 36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and needs so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let him let them marry. Can so basically, man, look, you're dealing with a woman and she's already past the flower of her age. Basically, she's having her cycle, right? That's already a woman, a young lady at the very least, you can, but that's already a woman. So once again, okay, Jake is offended by this word, man. But let me go into this as well because I also mentioned this part. Let me go into this as well because I'm going to close out. I've been going into the whole grape doctrine, right? Because you have to defend the gospel even from other Israelite camps. Okay, somehow saying that even though the scriptures clearly says what it says, right? That you can deal with 12-year-old women because that's what they are. You saw Megan Kelly come out and say the same thing, right? Well, 15-year-olds are young women, right? Man, Esau can't keep his laws. Even Esau isn't consistent in his own statements. Now, anyway, let's not go into all that. Let's focus on the precepts. So now the book of Revelation, the 16th chapter. Let me see if I can find out precepts. Okay, that should be Revelation 14. So that's where it goes into. Yeah, it is. So this is the book of Revelation 14, verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So let's get this. Let's get the Greek word for forehead and hand. Okay, it's opened finally. Network has come back. So so let's get this. If you receive his mark, and that's the charagma, and the forehead is a metopon. Okay, metopon, and it basically means the space between the eyes, the forehead. The space between the eyes. Okay, so basically I was going into I said basically anything that's above your eyes, right? Yeah, above your eyes and the space between the eyes, right? So is it you're talking about the bridge of your nose because that's the space between the eyes, but it's clearly talking about the forehead, including inside the forehead as well. Of course, in his right hand or in his forehead, showing that it's a mark that is implanted. But let's keep going into it. Let's look for that. And the other is hand, which is chair. Let's see what this word says. Chair. Let's play the audio.
Strong's G 5495. Higher.
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 Higher. Let's see. That's what is higher. Well, I think it's going into something else. Okay, hand. Okay, so we have to look for the root word because it's saying something completely different from what it's actually translated as. So basically, it's going into by the help or agency of one by means of anyone, figuratively applied to God, symbolizing his might, activity, or power in creating the universe, right? So once again, this is going into let me go back to the book of Revelation 13, verse 16. It's going into right hand, right? Because that's what it represents figuratively, right? Your right hand, because it's your dominant hand. Well, I'm left-handed, but the majority of people on the earth, their dominant hand is their right hand. Okay, so let's get this in a book of just I'm talking about in a book of here it is the word here is dexios. Okay, which is basically once again referring to your dominant hand. So your right hand is considered your dominant hand, so the hand of power, and that's what that word higher, right? In the book of Revelation, the 14th chapter is also going into. So let's get this. Dexios, the right hand, metaphor, a place of honor or authority, right? So even in the book of Revelation, the 14th chapter, right? Basically it's going into the dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you put on your right hand. If you're left-handed, you put on your left hand. Whatever hand you put it on, it is still the MOTB. Okay, you won't say that. Oh well, in the scriptures it says right hand. So if I put it in my left hand, I'll be safe, right? Because there'll be Jake that will be speaking like that, right? When the hour of temptation comes, but that is not the case. Okay, regardless of which hand you put it in, you can put it. You can put it in your leg, right underneath your thigh. It is still the MOTB. You have still implanted it into yourself. Okay, and that's clearly the scriptures go against, right, using that MOTB. And it is something that once you have received it, hey, you're already doomed to the destruction. Okay, so with that, I'll end the video right there. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babala, and through the Spirit of Yakim, and you are quite edified. Shalom.